and my older sister was luckily sold to the Song Manor. But later, I was used by the prince as a tool to win people's hearts. And in the end, I was brutally torn apart by 5 horses. And 2 years later, my sister was also tormented to death by the matriarch of the Song family. When I opened my eyes again, my sister and I were both reborn on the day of drawing lots. Looking at the paper balls in front of us, we exchanged a glance, and finally picked up each other's paper balls. First I was sold to Zuichuan Pavilion to do chores. It wasn't until I was 12 that the madam took a liking to me. After 4 years of learning, I became proficient in zither chess calligraphy and painting. On my 16th birthday, my first night was bought for a vast fortune by the third Prince Xiaming. I sat nervously in the decorated room, waiting for the man who would take my innocence. At that time I felt very lucky to gain the prince's favor, thinking my future days would be much easier. But I never expected that Xiaming would actually give my first night to the current Prime Minister Du Heng. Du Heng was an old pervert. He tormented me all night as if skinning me alive. I lay in bed for a full 6 days before I could barely get up. Outsiders didn't know the truth, and thought the third prince had become my patron. Suddenly my value skyrocketed, becoming the top courtesan in the capital. As for me, I thus became Xiaming's weapon to manipulate the court officials. Every time Xiaming sent me to someone else's bed, he would force me to drink a sterilizing potion to prevent me from getting pregnant. Over time, my body was permanently damaged, making me unable to conceive for life. He happily explained, "Mingrua, from now on, you are truly my flawless secret weapon." I depended on him, passed intel for him, yielded my body to others time and time again for his sake, pandering and trying to please them, without a shred of dignity. Until 5 years later, he succeeded in seizing the throne. I was pushed to the front and framed as an enemy spy. Before my execution, he came to visit me in the dungeon. I thought he still had a sliver of affection for me. At that moment I thought, maybe my death would be worth it. Mingrua, drink this cup of wine. Only then can I ascend the throne with a clean slate. I will guarantee your family wealth and glory. Otherwise you will reunite with them underground tomorrow. Tears welled up in my eyes. I fought hard to hold my tears back, since I was going to die anyway. I didn't want to look as pathetic as a dog. After drinking the wine, I lost my voice. Actually, even if Xiaming hadn't poisoned me to make me mute, I still wouldn't have revealed his secrets. Why didn't he believe me? Hearing my story by the bed, my sister was already in tears. "So you had suffered this much." I calmly placed my hand over my sister's. "Sister, you must never fall in love with Xiaming. Otherwise you will die without a proper burial. Our destinies are about to swap starting tomorrow." That night, I told my sister what had happened to me. And she also shared everything with me, holding absolutely nothing back. Although my sister and I are twins, our temperaments are poles apart. She is fierce and fiery, while I am gentle and thoughtful. Perhaps in this lifetime, we can truly reverse this tragic fate. Early the next morning, my sister and I left home. Right before parting, we made a promise to meet at the back door of Zuichuan Pavilion every 7 days. I was sent to the human broker. The broker carefully examined my physique, teeth, and hands, and nodded in satisfaction. I had learned from my sister that the boss of the brokerage was a widow who loved Jiangnan folk tunes the most. During these days at the brokerage, I figured out the exact time the boss would visit. Whenever this time came, I would sing a couple of tunes in the courtyard. As time went by, the boss treated me much better than the others. Not only did I not have to work every day, I also got to eat meat for one meal. From this moment on, fate had already become different. 2 months later, the old steward of the Song family came to pick servants. Among a row of girls, only my face was plump, fair and healthy. The boss pulled me out saying, "Steward Qin, this child is absolutely a great prospect. Take a look." Steward Qin looked me up and down and nodded in satisfaction. "Indeed not bad. She has blossomed well too. Her gestures even have the vibe of a noble lady in the capital." The boss leaned in, covered her face and whispered, "I heard the young master of the Song Manor has now reached adulthood. A bedchamber maid must also be carefully selected right. If chosen well, Steward Qin will also look good." Steward Qin understood clearly. The young master's bedchamber maid is usually chosen from the maids in his own courtyard. If this maid also happens to be the steward's person, the steward can also take advantage to boost his status. Steward Qin bought me for 5 taels of silver. The boss saw me to the door, smiling and holding my hand. "Mingrua, when you strike it rich and succeed in the future, do not forget your big sister here." I showed a slightly shy expression and nodded slightly. The master of the Song Manor is Song Qingshan. the current Minister of Personnel, a first-rank high official. The young master of the Song Manor the boss mentioned is exactly Song Qingshan's only son Song Qifeng. Entering the Song Manor, I was taken directly to Liuguang Courtyard by Steward Qin. This is exactly what my sister called a devil's den that eats people alive. With Steward Qin's order, I directly became Song Qifeng's personal maid, serving his daily meals and living routines. When my sister came to the Song Manor, she was just a menial maid. But the moment I entered the manor, I became a first-class maid. So naturally, I was targeted by all the maids in Liuguang Courtyard. Early morning, I came to the bedroom holding a silver tray. Young master, time to wash up, come in. A cold voice sounded from the bedroom. I gently pushed the door open and walked into the room. What caught my eye was a completely naked young man. Even though I had seen so many men in my previous life, I could not help but admire him. Get me dressed. Song Qifeng spoke concisely and to the point. I took the clothes down from the rack. Song Qifeng cooperatively spread his arms. When I knelt on the ground to tie his belt, his gaze swept across my face. New here. Answering the young master. This servant just entered the manor yesterday from beginning to end. I never looked directly at Song Qifeng's face. As a top courtesan, I naturally know what kind of women can best win a man's favor. MHM. Not bad. Serving Song Qifeng is a very simple task. He does not show his emotions on his face. It seems nothing can affect his mood. It is just that when I first caught a glimpse of his face, I was too shocked to speak. I had seen him in my past life, when Xiaming hosted a banquet for the princes at Zuichuan Pavilion. He wore a mask to attend the banquet. Everyone called him eldest royal brother. But in the backyard, I saw him after he took off his mask, spitting out blood. His appearance was exactly the same as Song Qifeng's. If I remember correctly, not long after the banquet in my past life, the first prince passed away. It was also from this time on that Song Qifeng's wife drastically changed her temperament, tormenting the servants every day. And my sister tragically died in the Song Manor because of this. Curled up at the door of Song Qifeng's bedroom at night, connecting these two things together, I came to a conclusion. Song Qifeng is that mysterious first prince Xie. Ever since I had this suspicion, I noticed he would not be in the manor on the 1st and 15th of every month. First, Xiaming said the emperor liked to eat chestnut cakes, but always found the ones made by the royal chefs too sweet and cloying. So I tried every means to improve the chestnut cakes, making the taste lighter and more refreshing. Every time Xiaming entered the palace, he would bring the chestnut cakes I made. Since I am now by Song Qifeng's side, why not give him a hand? I made chestnut cakes for Song Qifeng. After tasting them, he took the rest away. From then on, he ordered me to make some for him, on the 1st and 15th of every month. I guess the one in the palace has already tasted my cooking. Mo Sang is the most senior maid in Liuguang Courtyard. She always considers herself the young master's future bedchamber maid. In her own words, she grew up with the young master. She even washed his pants when he wet them as a child. In her mouth, I am a servant of unknown origin, who vainly attempts to climb into the young master's bed. A shameless cheap wench. But it is exactly a cheap wench like me. When framed by her for dirtying the young master's spring-dwelling painting, who outlined an ink orchid with 3 strokes, and received the young master's praise of forgetting sorrows in the spring-dwelling. It is also a servant of unknown origin like me. When the young master was playing the flute, who casually picked up the zither in the courtyard to harmonize a heavenly melody. A soulmate is hard to find, while Mo Sang does not even know a single word. One day, seeing the chess formation on the board in the courtyard, a gleam of light flashed in Song Qifeng's eyes. Later he learned that I casually set it up when I had nothing to do. So from then on, I had one more task, which was to play chess with Song Qifeng. Unknowingly 2 years passed by. The maids around Song Qifeng went from the original 4 down to 1. Mo Sang had long been married off and sent away by Song Qifeng. And the spring-dwelling painting, slightly modified by my hand, had long been hung by Song Qifeng, in the most prominent place in the study. In a blink of an eye, it was time for my sister and me to meet as agreed. In these 2 years at the Song Manor, everyone knew I was Song Qifeng's favorite. So favorite that it was only a thin veil away from being official. Many people even joked in private, and started respectfully calling me concubine. Young master, this servant sees that your painting materials are short of some blue pigment. This servant knows a shop where the blue color is very pure. Alright, go buy some back after you have lunch. Arriving at the back door of Zuichuan Pavilion, my sister had already been waiting for me for a long time. She held my hand to sit down, and handed me a booklet saying Mingrua. This is this month's roster and their conversations. These 2 years in the brothel, under my guidance, my sister won the madam's favor. Plus with her cheerful personality, she also got along very well with the sisters in the pavilion. After a few incidents of rescuing the sisters, now all the sisters in Zuichuan Pavilion actually regard her as their leader. At first I thought my sister would complain incessantly, But she actually gladly embraced the life in the brothel. She said in the song manner she would often go hungry. And when sleeping at night, she had to beware of rats gnawing on her toes. The days in the brothel, she feels very happy and grounded. Minghua, your sister doesn't seek any romance or love. As long as I can live a good life, having no worries about food and clothing is enough. Sister, then let's join forces. Join forces for what? To cut off Xiaming's path to the throne. And fight for a way out for ourselves. If sister continues to live by the rules in the brothel, you will still be targeted by Xiaming in the future. Maybe she will repeat my disastrous past. Since we have swapped lives, I will absolutely not let her go down my old path. My sister tightly held my hands. I knew she was very afraid. Sister, you and I are both people who have died once. What is there to fear now? After a long time, my sister nodded solemnly. Minghua, you have been smarter than me since childhood. I will listen to you. Afterwards we exchanged some details, and then went our separate ways. In the evening I returned to the Song Manor. Song Qifeng had just finished dinner. Just a moment ago, my sister reminded me that Song Qifeng's future wife Wei Waner would fall into the Lu River a month later. Song Qifeng would just happen to pass by and save her from the water. A single rescue sealing their fate for life. And what I need to do is to ruin this marriage. Song Qifeng trusts me very much, taking me with him wherever he goes. I understand men. I know when to advance and when to retreat. Song Qifeng is not Xiaming. He has a cold temperament, but he is always very generous to his servants. He is a good man, and good men are the easiest to fall in love. Once when I was dressing him, I deliberately and accidentally touched his chest with my hand. Song Qifeng's ears actually turned red. From then on, he never let me serve him while dressing again. Mo Sang was extremely smug, telling everyone everywhere that I had fallen out of favor. Only I knew that Song Qifeng was afraid he could not control himself. When this older virgin man got shy, he was actually just like a child. In the blink of an eye, it was the day Wei Waner fell into the water. Song Qifeng took me to Wenqing Tea House by the Lu River. Someone was already waiting inside the tea house's private room. After seeing that person's face clearly, I almost could not control my expression. Minghua, what is wrong? Are you sick? Hearing this, Xiaming looked up at me, a trace of obscure emotion flashing in his eyes. Young master, I am fine. Just suddenly feeling a bit stuffy. Hearing this, Song Qifeng walked over to the window and opened the window. You seem to treat this maid somewhat differently from others. Her, yes, she is indeed different from others. Alright, let's talk business. Xiaming cast a side glance at me. You trust her? Song Qifeng could not help but laugh. In your eyes, can't your elder brother have someone to trust? No, I just didn't expect it to be her. Every word said in the private room was enough to make me tremble with fear. Song Qifeng really is the first prince. Minister Song saved the emperor in an assassination attempt years ago and injured his vitals because of it, losing the hope of having children. To show his gratitude, the emperor has not entered the ancestral hall, nor been written into the genealogy. Song Qifeng has one person but two identities. When appearing in the imperial palace, he wears a mask, while in daily life he attends to people as Song Qifeng. The purpose of Xiaming inviting Song Qifeng this time is also very simple. He just hopes that in the future when he competes with the second prince, Song Qifeng can stand on his side. While listening to their conversation, I paid attention to the movement outside the window. Help! Help! Faint cries for help came over. Both Song Qifeng and Xiaming heard it. What happened? Xiaming walked briskly to the window. Elder brother, it seems someone has fallen into the water. Song Qifeng saw the situation clearly. It is a woman. Elder brother, I don't know how to swim. I remember you do. Saving a life is urgent. At this moment, don't care whether it is a man or a woman. Just as Song Qifeng hesitated, I leapt down from the window on the other side. In a few strokes I swam to the person in the water. After dragging her to the shore, the girl huddled in my arms shivering. Her weak and delicate body leaned against me, her two snow-white breasts pressing exactly against my chest. The angle was grasped just right. Thank you, young Master Song, for saving my life. Words cannot express my gratitude. Repaying. Who are you, miss? This servant is a maid from Minister Song's manor. She looked towards the tea house in shame and anger, then ran away in a panic. I returned to the private room dripping wet. Weren't you serving the young master inside? Just then, the door opened. A draft of wind blew on me, and I naturally shivered. Song Qifeng hurriedly took off his outer garment and draped it over me. Hurry inside. Song Qifeng helped me sit down, and said apologetically, it was inconvenient for me to go down and catch you just now. If I had seen that lady's body, I am afraid it would be hard to clear my name. Oh, so seeing Mingruo's body is fine then. She is my woman. I don't know if it was my illusion. The moment Xiaming heard Song Qifeng say this, he seemed somewhat disappointed. Young master, the lady just now called me. Young master Song. She seemed extremely certain that the one saving her was you. I brought up what just happened, pretending to be casual, at the same time looking past Song Qifeng at Xiaming, who sat on the couch looking harmless. Song Qifeng is not a fool. When several coincidences crash together, it must be man-made. Third brother, the person was arranged by you, right? Eldest brother, I meant nothing else. I just wanted to deepen our familial ties. Wei Waner is my mother's niece. Song Qifeng understood clearly. Your struggles have nothing to do with me. My surname is Song, and I cannot help you with anything. Mingruo, let's go. Eldest brother. This maid of yours is very interesting. How about giving her to me? You better put away your twisted thoughts. If you play any tricks on her, I will not let you off. Xiaming laughed heartily. Eldest brother, I am just teasing you. Do not mind it. Just a woman after all. The moment we walked out of the tea house, a sudden sharp pain gripped my lower abdomen. Then I felt a warm flow slowly gushing out. Young master. What is wrong? This servant. I bit my lip in embarrassment. I was only focused on saving someone just now, and actually forgot that my period was due today. Song Qifeng suddenly realized, and scooped me up in his arms, carrying me into the carriage dong. Steward asked the shopkeeper for 2 hand warmers. On the way back to the manor, Song Qifeng took off my outer garment and dried it with a hand warmer, while I leaned against him. Young master, you need to be careful of His Highness the Third Prince. Mingruo, you know my identity. Are you not afraid? No matter what your identity is, you will always be my young master. But I do not want to be your young master anymore. The words I said just now, I was serious. Be my woman, okay? I did not speak. Just nestled closer into his arms, found a comfortable position, and continued to rest my eyes. A low doting chuckle came from above my head. Song Qifeng took his personal maid as his own. This was originally not a big deal, but a maid jumping straight to become a concubine had never happened in the entire capital. After Minister Song saw me, he merely gave a few indifferent words of advice. After his body was damaged, he divorced his wife not long after, and never remarried from then on. Therefore, I became the sole female master of the entire minister's manor. This made it much more convenient for my sister and me to meet. In the year I turned 15, my sister made a fruit soup for the madam. Under my instruction, she added some cassava flour into the fruit soup. The madam was allergic to cassava flour. Consuming a large amount would be life-threatening. As I expected, the madam died. That old woman who aided evildoers. Death was already the best ending for her. Taking this opportunity, I used the silver I had saved up over the years to buy Zuichuan Pavilion. From then on, this brothel became my and my sister's property, and my sister became the boss of Zuichuan Pavilion. In 3 years, my sister created various accidents in Zuichuan Pavilion, bringing to light a series of major cases. The Minister of Revenue's corruption case, the Flying Cavalry Generals, treason case, Duke Qing's case of keeping young boys. If someone pondered carefully, they would find that these people all had countless ties with Xiaming. This day I came to Zuichuan Pavilion and learned an important piece of information. Mingruo, tomorrow night, the third Prince Xiaming booked the Peony Pavilion. I heard Du Heng is coming. I will come personally tomorrow. Mingruo, your sister can help you. Your current status is inconvenient. Sister, there are some things I must do myself. Ever since Song Qifeng took me as his concubine, he has slept in my room every night. Before I could figure out how to slip away at night, Song Qifeng told me early the next morning that he had to enter the palace to meet the emperor tonight. If he could not make it back in time, he would sleep in the palace. When night fell, I changed into men's clothes and secretly slipped out from the back door of the Song Manor. By the time I rushed to Zuichuan Pavilion, Xiaming and Du Heng had not arrived yet. I changed into my sister's clothes and waited in Zuichuan Pavilion. At the hour of Su, Xiaming arrived first at Zuichuan Pavilion. I disguised myself as my sister to greet him at the door, lowering my head to greet greetings to His Highness the Third Prince. When I looked up again, the standard smile of a brothel madam hung on the corners of my lips. Looking at it now, compared to your younger sister, Mingyun is even better. Thank you for the praise, Your Highness. Xiaming stopped speaking, sitting alone in the hall, twirling a wine cup in his hand, deep in thought. I hid behind a pillar, watching him from afar. As the third Prince Xiaming has been involved in 3 major capital cases in the past 2 years. The current emperor is already dissatisfied with him. Earlier this year, even in front of all the civil and military officials. He reprimanded him for disrespecting hierarchy and forming factions. For the throne Xiaming fought for in my past life. Besides the Minister of Revenue, the Flying Cavalry General, and Duke Qin, his biggest reliance was the current Prime Minister Du Heng. Du Heng accepting the invitation to come this time is to send a signal to the court officials that the third prince has not lost power. Du Heng arrived late, not minding at all making a prince wait for him. The two of them entered the peony pavilion of Zuichuan Pavilion. Mingyan come in and served me my footsteps. Paused slightly. Then I followed them into the room. While Xiaming and Du Heng were eating, I stood aside pouring wine for them. Mingyan Chancellor Du is visiting Zuichuan Pavilion for the first time. Aren't you going to offer him a toast? Looking at the wine cup Xiaming handed over, I felt as if I had returned to my past life, on the day of my first night. He also handed me a cup of wine. Mingrua, it is my first time visiting Zuichuan Pavilion. Aren't you going to offer me a toast? I stared at the clear wine in the cup, wondering if the wine was just like in my previous life, also laced with an aphrodisiac. Picking up the wine cup, I drank it in one gulp. Before long my face flushed red. My body swayed unsteadily, leaning on the table edge to barely stand firm. Chancellor Du, the moonlight tonight is very beautiful. Do not waste this beautiful night. After saying that, Xiaming patted Du Heng's shoulder, closed the door, and strode away. Only Du Heng and I were left in the room. Du Heng got up and walked towards me. 1, 2, 3. After counting to 3, Du Heng collapsed heavily to the ground. If Xiaming were still here, he would notice that the unnatural flush on my face had already faded. My eyes were also completely clear. I gently knocked on the hanging scroll 3 times. The secret door opened at the sound. My sister and a few thugs stood behind the door. The thugs dragged a person into the room. Then we left through the secret door. Today is the day the third princess consort pays respects to Buddha. My people coincidentally found her unconscious at the back mountain of Jingxing Temple, and coincidentally brought her to Zuichuan Pavilion. Late at night in the capital when all was quiet, Zuichuan Pavilion was extraordinarily bustling. The Arab Marquis Jing Yuan came to Zuichuan Pavilion looking for a courtesan. Mo Yu, when he passed by the peony pavilion, noticed the door was left ajar. From inside faintly came suggestive sounds that set one's teeth on edge. Out of curiosity, he grabbed the doorframe and peeked inside. Chan Chancellor Du, third princess consort. After 2 screams of terror, the peony pavilion was immediately surrounded by guests. Zuichuan Pavilion is one of the top brothels in the capital. The people who visit are all high officials and nobles. The people standing at the door of the peony pavilion at this moment were either high-ranking court officials or young masters of various estates. And noble heir Xiaming, who was in a private room, resting, heard the discussions in the hall and suddenly snapped out of it. When he rushed to the door, what he saw was exactly the scene. The others, one after another, made way for Xiaming, the third princess consort and the prime minister having an affair, and doing it in a brothel, while the third prince was still here, leaving no room for overthinking. Everyone tactfully dispersed, leaving this place of trouble. I swayed my hips and walked over slowly. Xiaming's gaze towards me was violent and terrifying. It was you. I leaned against the doorframe. Your Highness the third prince, please do not scare this humble girl. I am timid. Finally, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Xiaming took the third princess consort and left Zuichuan Pavilion. The story of the third prince giving his consort to the prime minister spread through every street and alley of the capital the next day. Not long after, Du Heng begged to retire and return home. On his way back, he encountered horse bandits, was hacked to death by their blades, his head separated from his body. Xiaming completely lost the emperor's favor, drinking and making merry in his manner every day. When Song Chifeng talked about this with me, he was still sighing in pity. Third brother has brilliant talent. He is a talent capable of ruling the country. I truly do not understand why he became so foolish. I nestled in Song Chifeng's arms and fed him a grape. No one can resist the temptation of that position. Only you are different from them. I never worried that Song Chifeng would discover the secret of Zuichuan Pavilion, because he had never stepped foot in a place of pleasure. Before I was with him, I even suspected if his body had some unspeakable problems. Mingrua, you will be 16 next year. Let's have a child. Okay. There are still 6 years until the emperor passes away. As long as Xiaming is alive, I will not be able to live in peace. If one day he ascends the throne, the first to die will be me and Song Chifeng. In the summer of the 6th year of Yuanhe, floods occurred in Jiangnan. A large number of refugees moved north in my past life. At this time, Xiaming received the imperial order for disaster relief. On his way, he met a scholar named Pei Hong who claimed to be good at water control. With Pei Hong's help, Xiaming not only successfully pacified the refugees, but also minimized the damage of the flood. Because of this, Xiaming made a great contribution, and the senior officials in the court praised him even more. This time Xiaming has already lost the emperor's favor. I must find a way to let Song Chifeng go to Jiangnan. Every day, I would talk about the Jiangnan floods with Song Chifeng. and even shed a few tears when I reached the emotional parts. It was the first day of the month again. Song Qifeng entered the palace with chestnut cakes. On this day, the emperor threw a massive tantrum in the court because of the flood. I don't know what Song Qifeng said, but the emperor handed over the disaster relief matters to him. This outcome is exactly what I wanted. Song Qifeng told me after returning home that he had to leave home for a while to go to Jiangnan for disaster relief. Early the next morning, I told him I had a strange dream. Husband, I dreamt that when you passed by Lu County, you met a destitute scholar named Pei Hong. He is a genius in water control and helped you a great deal. Since when did you become so superstitious? Who knows, maybe you will really meet him. Alright, if there really is such a person, I will tie him to my belt and drag him to Jiangnan even if I have to. Song Qifeng left the capital. I went to Zuichuan Pavilion every 7 days as usual to see my sister. Strike while the iron is hot and finish him off is my principle of doing things in this life. Xiaming cowered in his manner every day and did not go out. The third princess consort had already quietly passed away from illness, and those who knew the truth were also completely silenced. Now the third prince's manor was as quiet as a tomb. A year ago, I had my sister release a group of girls and sold them to the human brokerage where I used to be. Under the temptation of a large sum of money, the brokerage boss helped us sell a few girls into the third prince's manor. The girls trained by my sister were all exceptionally clever. In just a year, they had already firmly established themselves in the manor. The most outstanding one, Xiuyi, even became a maid in Xiaming's study. Xiuyi would memorize the secret documents in the third prince's manor and regularly throw them out through the dog hole. The person waiting outside would take the paper, balls back to Zuichuan Pavilion and hand them to my sister. My sister looked at the words on the paper in disbelief rebellion. How dare he? Xiuyi said in the letter. Xiaming secretly met with Wei Yoji, the commander of the Imperial Guards, plotting to force the emperor to abdicate on the day of the autumn banquet. Wei Yoji is Wei Wan'er's father, and also Xiaming's maternal uncle. In my past life, Xiaming used Wei Wan'er to pull Song Qifeng into his camp. He was also afraid that Wei Yoji would defect, which was why he hosted a banquet for Song Qifeng at Zuichuan Pavilion and poisoned him to death. In this life, without the marriage alliance with Song Qifeng, Wei Yoji will definitely assist this nephew of his with all his might. Counting the days, Song Qifeng should also be back for the autumn banquet. I comforted my sister, telling her to let Xiuyi keep an eye on Xiaming and not to miss any details. 2 months later, good news came from Jiangnan. With the help of a water control genius, Song Qifeng directed the construction of dams in Jiangnan. The disaster victims worked to earn money. Song Qifeng opened the granaries to distribute food, stabilizing the grain prices. Not only did the refugees not move north, but they also settled down safely. I received a letter from Song Qifeng. He said he could return to the capital in early autumn. News came from Zuichuan Pavilion, asking me to go there as soon as possible. I thought my sister had encountered some trouble. Upon arriving at the pavilion, my sister hurriedly pulled me into her boudoir. Mingruo, Sun Yuanzhen, the vice minister of rights, came today. When he was drunk, he accidentally mentioned that the emperor is going to grant a marriage to Song Qifeng. Sister, do you know who it is? The princess of Linxiong. Hearing this name, I could not help but laugh. It really is the cycle of karma. In my past life, this princess of Linxiong adored Xiaming, but hindered by her status, she could not obtain Xiaming's love. Because of Xiaming's special care for me, the princess of Linxiong mistakenly thought we had feelings for each other. After I was locked in prison, she would come to the cell every day, watching the jailers torture me. When she was in the mood, she would sprinkle a scoop of salt on my body. The more miserable I screamed, the happier she laughed. A prostitute actually dared to cling to. Brother Ming, are you even worthy just thinking of that sinister smiling face? Even now bathed in the warm sun, my heart still aches from the cold. In my past life with the third princess consort around, she could not marry Xiaming. But now let me give her a helping hand. Sister, you spend time with the heir of Marquis Zhen Yuan. Can you ask him to host a banquet on the Qingshui River? Of course. But what do you want to do? I want the heir of Marquis Zhen Yuan to. Jiang Daohui is a famous master of poetry and literature in the capital. His banquets are usually held in places with beautiful scenery, and young masters and noble ladies consider it an honor to attend. And for this poetry banquet on the Qingshui River, Jiang Daohui even invited the eldest princess. All the sisters of Zuichuan Pavilion were invited to attend, to perform dances and liven up the banquet. Jiang Daohui is someone easily persuaded. After pouring a few cups of wine into him, he sent invitations to Xiaming and the princess of Linxiong. The poetry banquet was held on a painted pleasure boat on the Qingshui River. I took my sister's place and brought the girls of Zuichuan Pavilion to the banquet. At the banquet, the princess of Linxiong's eyes were glued to Xiaming's body. The dancers of Zuichuan Pavilion walked past the serving maids to the center of the banquet, their fluttering sleeves brushing past the maids, leaving behind a faint fragrance. Plates of exquisite dishes were served. The princess of Linxiong stared blankly at Xiaming sitting opposite her. The maid peeled crabs for the princess of Linxiong. Princess, the drunken crabs have been peeled for you. The princess of Linxiang loved eating crabs. At this moment she did not even bother looking at Xiaming, and lowered her head to taste the drunken crabs on the table. After 4 crabs went down her stomach, she felt a slight buzz of intoxication. The drunken crabs on others' tables were marinated in huadiao wine. But as for the ones on the princess's table, I had someone add a little extra ingredient. Before long she stumbled towards Xiaming. She tilted her body and fell against Xiaming. Brother Ming, I like you. I have always liked you. Before, when sister-in-law was here, I could not get close to you. Now that she is dead, look at me, please. This scene stunned everyone. Jiang Daohui suddenly slapped his forehead. Why is it that wherever Xiaming is, there is always this kind of melodramatic farce? Xiaming furrowed his brows tightly, trying to push the princess of Linxiang away. But she held onto Xiaming's arm in a death grip. Taking advantage of Xiaming's momentary lapse in attention, she kissed him. Instantly the whole hall was shocked. Xiaming's whole body radiated coldness. Killing intent faintly seeped out. Jiang Daohui, as the host of the banquet, hurriedly stepped forward and pulled the princess of Linxiang away. Brother Ming, you must marry me. Only I am fit to stand by your side. The eldest princess, sitting in the seat of honor, had a gloomy expression, and left in a hurry before the banquet ended. The next day the emperor issued an edict, granting a marriage between the princess of Linxiang and Xiaming. When I heard this news, I happily drank 2 taels of peach blossom wine. These 2 people, one is insidious, and the other is vicious. They are simply a match made in heaven. The weather became more pleasant day by day. Autumn is coming soon. The day of Song Qifeng's return was 4 days earlier than what he said in the letter. After entering the palace to meet the emperor, he returned to the minister's manor. Having not seen him for a few months, Song Qifeng had lost some weight. I walked out of Liuguang courtyard to greet him. Song Qifeng opened his arms, bent down and pulled me into his embrace. Mingruo, I missed you. Hurry, go wash off that sweaty smell. I smiled and took his hand, and pushed him into the side room. While he was taking a bath, I went to the small kitchen and made a few delicious dishes for him. After dismissing the servants, we had dinner together. Mingruo, you are my little lucky star. I really met the destitute scholar you mentioned on the road. Originally, I just asked for his name out of curiosity. I didn't expect his name to actually be Pei Hong. You don't know, my expression at that time was like a fool. He is a person of great talent. For this flood control in Jiangnan, I really have to thank him. Song Qifeng ate heartily, not forgetting to tell me the strange and interesting things on the way. Right, today royal father also said that he originally wanted to arrange a marriage between me and the princess of Linxiang. But unexpectedly the princess of Linxiang already had someone in her heart. Royal father was quite annoyed, saying he almost played matchmaker wrongly. Then he seemed to realize something, and carefully observed my expression. Seeing that I did not seem jealous, he added, this time going south, I also made a great contribution. So I boldly asked royal father for a favor. Everything he said just now I already knew, but now I was genuinely a little curious. What favor? I told royal father that from now on I will choose my own wife. And royal father agreed. This favor is actually quite beneficial to me. In the future, if Song Qifeng wants to marry a wife, I can pick carefully for him. At least it has to be a legitimate wife without schemes who can tolerate me. I want to wait until you get pregnant, then raise you to be my legitimate wife. That way it will be perfectly justifiable. I am just a maid. Song Qifeng burst into laughter. Mingruo, what kind of maid is proficient in zither chess calligraphy and painting? From the first time I saw you, I understood that you are no ordinary woman. I know you are hiding a secret in your heart, but I don't want to force you to tell me. I just want to stand by your side forever and spend the rest of my life with you. Song Qifeng's expression gradually became solemn with his last 2 sentences. So do you trust me? I do. I took a deep breath. The third prince is uniting with Wei Yoji to force an abdication on the day of the autumn banquet. After saying that, I reached out and covered his lips, not giving him a chance to speak. I know this sounds somewhat unbelievable, but this is all true. You must prepare early. Otherwise the world will fall into chaos. With the matter of Pei Hong before, Song Qifeng already believed 80% of my words. Is it your dream again? MHM. Song Qifeng grabbed my hand. Mingruo, you eat first. I need to go out for a while. With that, Song Qifeng hurriedly left. Although Song Qifeng did not grow up in the imperial palace since childhood, he is the first prince. As long as he is willing, things like political schemes and tactics can be mastered without learning. I do not know who he will go look for, but that person must have the ability to reverse the situation on the day of the autumn banquet. The date of the autumn banquet is on. The day of the autumn equinox. Song Qifeng repeatedly instructed me that no matter how big a commotion happens in the capital, I must not go out. And he entered the palace early in the morning. I waited anxiously in the Wang courtyard, waiting from sunrise to sunset, from sunset to daybreak. That night there was no unusual movement in the capital. It was even quieter than usual. Terrifyingly quiet. The moment the morning light appeared, the towering buildings in the east looked like an ancient ferocious beast, opening its bloody maw, eating people without spitting out the bones. Since ancient times the royal family has always been heartless. If Song Qifeng lost, all of us would die without a burial place. But the imperial palace is a place beyond my reach. I can only choose to believe in Song Qifeng. Finally enduring until noon. Noisy sounds of horse hooves came from the main street outside the manor. For a moment the clamor shook the heavens. That sound was charging straight towards the Song manor. What should come has finally come. I shrugged my shoulders in self-mockery. The young servant outside the door ran in panicking. Concubine-ing, concubine-ing. Someone from the palace has come to announce an imperial edict. I straightened my clothes, supported by Steward Qin. I calmly walked out of the Liuguang courtyard, and arrived at the front hall. Minister Song also entered the palace for the autumn banquet. Right now I am the only master in the manor. The eunuch's sharp voice rang out. Yin Mingrua received the imperial edict. I numbly knelt on the ground and kowtowed. By the mandate of heaven the emperor proclaims the daughter of the Yin family is graceful and virtuous, gentle and kind-hearted, possessing both moral character and etiquette. She is hereby bestowed the title of Princess Consort Xian. I lay on the ground without moving for a long time. Princess Consort Xian, please receive the edict. Eunuch Prince Xian. Who is Prince Xian? The young eunuch who came along helped me up. I received the imperial edict with both hands. It is all this old slave's fault for not making it clear to the princess consort. Yesterday a sudden change occurred in the palace. The first prince made a great contribution in saving the emperor. The imperial edict personally decreed by His Majesty bestowed the title of Prince Xian. As for the first prince, he is actually Minister Song's adopted son Song Qifeng. So you are now the Princess Consort Xian. After listening to the head eunuch, I stood frozen in the courtyard laughing and crying. He thought I was delirious with joy. Little did he know that a heavy stone in my heart had finally fallen. Song Qifeng, no. No, Xie is safe. I signaled Steward Qin to reward the eunuchs with money. Xie sent someone to pass a message to me that he still had some matters to handle in the palace. The emperor bestowed a mansion, and I moved into Prince Xian's mansion, a step ahead of Xie. After waiting another 3 days, Xie finally returned. Unlike our previous parting, this time he was glowing with health and vigor, walking with a spring in his step. Mingrua. Xie laughed loudly, lifted me up, and spun me around several times in the courtyard. Put me down. Quickly put me down. As soon as my feet touched the ground, I held onto his arm feeling dizzy. Princess Consort, you must take good care of your body. You are teasing me. We walked into the room talking and laughing. Xie helped me sit down, and could not wait to tell me what happened in the palace. It turned out that after leaving the Song Manor that day he went to find the eldest princess. The eldest princess has been favored by the emperor since childhood. The emperor even established a private guard for her, with the help of the eldest princess. On the day of the autumn banquet, the imperial guards were divided and scattered throughout the palace. When Xiaming threw his cup as a signal, there were less than 80 imperial guards who charged into the main hall. Seeing that forcing the abdication was hopeless, Xiaming was driven to desperation, and actually tried to assassinate the emperor, but was repelled by Xie. As for Xiaming, royal father has now locked him in the heavenly prison. He might be locked up for a lifetime. His prince's manor has also been confiscated. The princess of Linxiang committed suicide in the manor. I want to go see him. Is that okay? I felt Xie's hand holding mine stiffen for a moment. Alright then. Before going to the heavenly prison, I first went to Zuichun Pavilion to see my sister. Now I am already the Princess Consort Xian. My sister knows that with our identical appearances, if she continues to stay in the brothel, might leave people with something to gossip about in the future. So we sold Zuichun Pavilion. My sister took the money and left the capital. She said she wanted to go see the sea. In her past life she was trapped in a Song Manor, with only a square patch of sky before her eyes. Now she can finally experience the real vast world. The day I saw my sister off from the capital, beside her stood a man dressed in red. My sister was afraid I would misunderstand. Qi Zhao is someone I accidentally saved on the street. Later he just stayed at Zuichun Pavilion as a guard. Qi Zhao did not speak, but the aura he exuded did not look like a mere guard at all. With him protecting my sister, I can also feel more at ease. I think this will be my sister's own story. Her life in the future will also have many wonderful moments. Leaving the city gates, I came to the heavenly prison. I followed the guard to a clean and bright cell. Xiaming was sitting by the desk, holding a brush to write. Truly worthy of being a prince. Even ending up in such a state. He did not show the slightest bit of wretchedness. Xiaming heard the sound and looked up. Yin Mingrua. How did you know I am not Yin Mingyue? The guard tactfully looked at us. This subordinate will wait outside. After the guard left, Xiaming finally walked towards me. Only Yin Mingrua would come to the heavenly prison to see me again. Now seeing me end up in such a state. Are you feeling a bit happier? Mingrua, after I was reborn, I went to Zuichuan Pavilion immediately. But that woman was not you. Although you two look exactly the same. But I knew that was not you. I took a step back and suppressed a sneer. What? Are you going to tell me that in our past life, you regretted it very much after I died? You were in great pain. So in this life, you specially came to make it up to me. Xiaming fell silent. Tears faintly flashed in his reddened eyes. Xiaming. Yin Mingrua, I'm not a fool. Did you really think I couldn't perceive that the look in your eyes was not right?